Welcome to another episode of the Leading Life Podcast. I'm your host, Andy Zook, and here is where we're going to talk about helping you become a stronger leader in all aspects of your life. All right, here we go. Right now, on today's episode, 10 life lessons from Admiral McRaven. Yes, welcome to the Leading Life Podcast, where we talk about what it takes to grow, lead, and live with purpose. I'm your host, Andy Zook, and each episode is designed to give you simple, real-world tools to help you show up as your best self in work and in life. Because when you lead yourself well, you inspire others to do the same. And I want to give you the tools to help you be stronger at leading, the psychology behind it, and give you that leadership edge to be even more effective at whatever you do. You know, I started this podcast because I truly care about the people that work on our teams and the leaders who lead them. So I'm here to share what I've learned from over 35 years of leadership, coaching, mentoring, and motivating teams of people. My examples and lessons are from the floor, from life, and from growth myself. And so if you don't know William H. McRaven, Admiral William H. McRaven, he is the Navy SEAL who once said, if you want to change the world, start by making your bed. And the thing is, he wasn't really talking about housekeeping. He was talking about identity, discipline, and mindset. Admiral William H. McRaven is a retired 4-star U.S. Navy admiral and former commander of U.S. Special Operations Command. He's a Navy SEAL with nearly 40 years of experience. He oversaw the 2011 mission that took out Osama bin Laden and later served as Chancellor of the University of Texas system. He's now a leading voice on discipline, resilience, and everyday leadership. You know, the first time I saw him was on a network television show, and I saw him speaking, and I was like, who is this guy? And I ordered his book from Amazon, like right in the moment. He's written many books, but the book that I ordered was called Sea Stories. And that book alone had a huge impact on my life. And at the end, I want to talk a little bit about something that I noticed as you read through that book that is not necessarily highlighted in some of his life examples and leadership examples. But these 10 lessons aren't really just about the military. They're about being human. And honestly, they're about leading yourself so you can lead others even better. The whole point of this podcast. And McRaven's life lessons really are for leaders that want to influence others, take on adversity, and demonstrate the kind of presence that people trust. And these are the lessons that your team feels and not just hears. So McRaven's teachings resonate because they directly tap into a couple essential psychological mechanisms. They are, first, that micro achievements will help reduce stress. So making your bed, finishing a small task, and completing something early, well, these create dopamine loops that tell the brain, I'm capable and I'm in control. Another thing is that courage is built, not necessarily born. So part of McRaven's philosophy of embrace the challenge activates resilience and pathways in our prefrontal cortex. Another thing is adversity shapes identity. So hardships strengthen neural circuits responsible for that grit and adaptability. McRaven calls this never ringing the bell, which your brain learns persistence through repetition. Another mindset thing is our teams thrive on trust and shared hardship. So the Navy SEAL mindset is built on oxytocin-driven connection, forged in shared challenges. Leaders create similar trust through shared goals, clarity, and consistent presence. All right, with that said, and some of the psychology behind it, let's jump into the 10 lessons. Number 1, make your bed. Yeah, McRaven says the first thing you do each morning should be a win. Not because the bed matters, but because you matter. And so when you start the day through discipline, you build identity. You tell yourself, I follow through. And as leaders, those tiny commitments shape everything. Our confidence, our mood, and how we show up for our people. Not only that, it's just starting your day again with a solid win. And getting out of bed, especially at a time that you set for yourself, and making your bed is a great way to start the day. So the lesson is you start the day with discipline and then you get the result, which gets your mindset in a rhythm for the day ahead. Number 2, find someone to help you paddle. Yeah. In SEAL training, no one survives alone. You're in a boat crew, so if one person slacks, the whole boat slows down. And so leadership is the same. Your success is tied to your partnerships, your team, your mentors, your supporters at home. And so you don't win by rowing harder, you win by rowing together. And so I have several leaders that lean on me, which I encourage, and I lean on them back. And we work through different scenarios that we deal with as leaders. And I have a tighter group of people that I work with called my MOI. And they're very similar to that boat crew. It's 4 or 5 of us, and we lean on each other consistently for support. And nothing back is owed or required. So the lesson with this is we win when everybody is pushing in the same direction. Everybody is rowing together. Number 3, measure people by the size of their heart, not their flippers. Yeah, so one of the smallest boat crews physically dominated in SEAL training. Why? Because skill fades and size fades, but heart never does. And as leaders, we often overvalue talent and undervalue character. But character is what people lean on when things get hard. Man, give me heart over ego any day. And a great example of this is in the movie Rudy, which I know I've referenced before, but he's this smaller guy trying out for the Notre Dame football team, and he's with all these big players, all these guys that are experienced in football and have been playing for years, and he tries out, but he puts so much hard work and drive, so he makes the cut. Everybody else is like, who is this guy? Like, he's so driven, and even though he's not that good, he makes the team because his heart is all in it. And the lesson here is hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And so when you put your heart into it, man, you are unstoppable. All right, number 4, he says, get over being a sugar cookie. A sugar cookie in SEAL training means you did everything right, and yet you still get punished. And they will make you go jump into the ocean in your full dress uniform and then roll around in the sand and stay like that all day. Can you imagine how uncomfortable that is? That was called being a sugar cookie. But what's the lesson? Life is not fair, right? Sometimes you perform perfectly and you still don't get the outcome. Leaders who move forward anyway, who stay focused instead of bitter, succeed. I've had a couple years where I have done all the right things consistently, and yet the smallest misstep I get punished for. It happens to all of us, and it sucks, but you got to get over being hurt, and you got to get over not being recognized all the time. And I don't want to switch references, but this reminds me very much of that Deion Sanders video where he says something really great, and that is, there's somebody out there and the light's not on you, but keep making plays. Nobody's talking about you, but keep making plays. Your sales numbers aren't where your friends are, but keep making plays. You aren't on the leaderboard right now, but baby, keep making plays. The lesson is simple. Keep going. Keep working at it. Some may have it easier than you. You may get punished for one mistake. Shrug it off. Keep going. Keep going with true intention. Try different things. Practice makes better. Keep striving for it. Life is going to be hard, but never give up. All right, number 5. Don't be afraid of the circus, quote unquote. The circus was an extra 2 hours of brutal training given to the underperformers. But here's the twist. The ones who did the circus became the strongest ones in the class. Why? Because failure builds capacity. Setbacks build endurance. Pressure builds leaders. Don't hide from the extra work. It's preparing you for the next level. Sacrifice activates the brain's identity circuits. And when you give something up for a dream, it becomes part of who you are. Vision-driven sacrifice builds dopamine resilience. And that's the ability to push without immediate reward. Overcoming hardship rewires the brain for persistence and grit. And those are the same pathways in our brains that elite performers have. And the lesson here is, the harder the work, the better the outcome of your skill and better prepared you are as you walk into the unknown. All right. Number 6, sometimes you have to slide down the obstacle head first. Yes, there is one obstacle in the Navy SEALs that McRaven's talking about that no one could beat until a trainee tried it different. He went head first. And sometimes leadership requires you to break the pattern, trying the thing that scares you, going against how it's always been done. Courage and innovation often look risky until they become a new standard. And one of my best super quick stories about that was when I became a general manager, I was warned before I took over a new store that there were 3 ladies who spoke Spanish openly on the sales floor. And I was like, great, and they will continue to. And someone reminded me, well, that's against our policy. And I said, I don't care, because we have a huge Spanish-speaking clientele. Customers will come in, they'll hear them speaking Spanish, they'll feel more comfortable, and that will ultimately help us engage with more guests and customers. A month later, left a voicemail on our store's answering machine, and part of it I spoke in Spanish. Now, part of the Spanish was probably not really correct. I didn't say it all right, but it got the message across. And let me tell you, the whole region flipped out. They're like, can you believe this guy's speaking Spanish on the machine? And what is going on? But guess what? Yeah, we became number 1 in the company. So bottom line is, sometimes you got to take a risk to be great. The lesson is take the courage to do something different and break through what others never dared. Number 7, don't back down from the sharks. Yeah, before a long swim, the SEAL trainees are told, if you encounter sharks and if they circle you, don't swim away. Don't show fear. Leadership puts you in deep waters too. There's always going to be criticism, negativity, and opposition. People may circle, doubts may circle, fear may circle, but stand your ground, hold your space, lead anyway. I've had moments where people are standing around me and I could tell weren't exactly all in, right? I might be presenting an idea or arguing a position, and I could see they hope I would buckle, but I would never give them that satisfaction. I always stood my ground on what was the right thing and remained fearless. The lesson is stay cool, be brave. Courage to stand strong always wins in the end. It reminds me of one of my regional directors that got up at a meeting in our entire company and challenged our president over payroll. And she could have lost her job, but she stood firm on her question and that our people needed more hours to be able to get to the customers coming in the store. And I'll never forget that. She stood there fearless. That was incredibly inspiring, and she got the message across. So, hold your position. Don't back down from the sharks. Number 8, be your best in the darkest moments. Yeah, SEALs often work in pitch black water. Yeah, can you imagine that? They can't see their hands. They can't see the mission. They don't even know what's next. They move by feel. And that's life, man. Sometimes we're all going through the dark, right? That's leadership. Anyone can lead when it's bright, but real leadership appears when the path is unclear, when the team needs your calm more than your answers. And the lesson here is be the one to lead through the challenges. Anyone can play victim. Anyone can go below the line. Be the one to rise above for everyone to follow. Number 9, start singing when you're up to your neck in mud. Yeah, that sounds a little crazy, but there's a moment in SEAL training where the class is freezing, exhausted, and stuck in mud. I remember they were in San Diego, and they were in these like mud flats by the ocean, and it was just ice cold. And they didn't think they were going to survive. And even McRaven said, I'm not sure I'm going to make it through this, but I stayed strong. And then one of the people in our class began to sing. And then everybody started to sing along. And that small act of hope changed the entire group. What it means is positivity doesn't remove pain, but it changes atmosphere. Your energy can lift a room. Your words can keep someone going. Remember, the lesson here is leaders create light, even when they're standing in darkness. Be the one to change the mood in the room with that positivity. 10, last of all, never, ever quit. SEAL training has one real rule. Don't ring the bell. And the bell is the symbol of giving up. Basically, when they start the SEAL training, the commander stands up in front of them and he shows a bell that anybody, with a rope hanging down from it, and anybody can ring it anytime. He goes, anytime this is too much for you, come on up here, ring this bell, and you can go home to a nice, soft, warm bed. McRaven said the people who make it aren't the strongest. They're just the ones who refuse to give up. They're the ones who refuse to stop. Leadership is endurance. Growth is endurance. Man, life is endurance. And he will tell you, I remember this part of the book, that it was amazing how often the bell would ring and another person would be gone. Especially when I was telling you about them being in that mud flat part in San Diego in ice cold mud by the ocean. He goes, he heard that bell ring so many times he thought there'd be no one left, but he held strong. Remember, the lesson here is never give up, and consistency beats intensity every time. All right, so here is your leadership edge for this episode. These are practical ways leaders can bring these lessons into your workplace. Make your bed at work, and that is start each day by completing one small, fast, meaningful task that starts the rhythm, that starts getting the day going for you and your coworkers. Second, build your boat crew. Schedule consistent one-on-ones. Identify people on your team who need support. And then pair people together on stretch projects. Also, celebrate heart over titles. Recognize your people's effort, attitude, and courage, not just key performance internals all the time. Next, normalize imperfection. Tell your team progress beats perfect. Create space for learning, not fear. Stand firm, lead calm. In conflict moments, be the anchor. Teams mirror the leader's nervous system. If you look like you're losing it, they're going to lose it. Keep moving, keep going when things get hard. Model perseverance. Let your team see you work through difficulty with grace. So, and remember at the beginning of this episode, I was telling you about something I noticed throughout the stories of his career in his book, Sea Stories, right? And there's so many, so many people they took out, Osama bin Laden, a different terrorist and different things that he was involved in. And, going to the White House and speaking to the president. It was just an amazing, amazing career. And I will tell you that every time he introduced in the book another commander or lieutenant or anybody in any capacity of military or government, he always highlighted at least 3 positive things about that person. I never once heard Admiral William McRaven ever talk disparagingly of anybody in any capacity. And I will tell you that one of the great things that I took away from the book was that the best leaders out there are the ones who remember to look at the strengths of the individuals around them and keep quiet about anything that doesn't really need to be said. I think that's pure class. Not talking about people's weaknesses, but consistently building up their strengths. I think that's amazing. So the one thing that I really can't stand out there that I see sometimes is when other people tear people down to make themselves look better than they are or feel more important. I would say automatically that disqualifies them from being a leader in any capacity. All right, so here's your call to arms for this episode. This week, choose one of McRaven's lessons and live it out loud in your leadership. Make your bed, start the day strong. Don't fear the sharks. Face that hard conversation you need to have. Slide down the obstacle head first, meaning take the risk for your business. Do something to grow it. Take a risk for a team member to help their career. Keep singing in the mud. Bring your team the hope that they need from you. And lastly, never ring the bell. Never give up. If sales are down, if productivity's down, if your product has quality issues, keep going and keep working at it until you get it right. Admiral McRaven's lessons are simple, but they carry weight. They remind us that greatness isn't always loud. Sometimes it's built through tiny acts of discipline, courage, and resilience. Great leaders don't give speeches. They shine by example. All right, thanks for listening to the Leading Life podcast. That's my episode. I hope this impacted you for the better. Please leave me a rating or review if you liked what you are hearing. And pass this episode on to a friend, family member, coworker, another leader that could benefit. Don't forget to hit subscribe. I would hate for you to miss another episode of the Leading Life podcast. And remember, I want you to lead on, lead strong, be the awesome person you are. But most importantly, go out and be the hero of somebody's story today. Be the one to make the difference. All right? Thanks for listening. Until the next episode, have an awesome week. Take care. Talk to you soon. Bye. All right, cool. You're still here. Here are 2 other thoughts from Admiral McRaven that I really love. And one of them is probably the thing I believe in the most about leadership. And that is great leaders are almost always great simplifiers. Yeah, I think the more we simplify things for our people and our teams, the more productive we're going to be and the quicker we're going to get to results. So be that great simplifier. And then lastly, as a leader, we must always have faith, not just in ourselves, but something greater. And that can be whatever you want it to be. It could be the mission. It could be in something spiritual. But remember to keep the faith. And there's something bigger in charge of everything that we're doing. All right? I hope that made sense. And thanks again for listening. Take care. Bye.